Boom, this is Tio with the Arcane Bear. We have a wonderful new guest for you today. This is Anthony Pompliano. I hope I said that correct. He was in the military for a few years in his younger days. He worked with product management for Facebook. He did growth management for Snapchat, and now he's a VC fund manager for Fulltilt Capital. How are you doing today, Anthony?
Doing well. How about yourself?
It's a beautiful evening in Bali. I'm grateful for you to join us in your early morning. Just for fun, I guess one of the questions that I was really interested in, outside of the military career, what was how did you first end up working for Facebook at such a young age?
Yeah, I had previously built two companies, and I was fortunate enough to sell them. And kind of after that, was looking at what I wanted to do next, and I thought that I could either go to a business school and learn kind of how to build bigger companies and kind of further my career, or I could go work at a company that had already done what I wanted to do. And in one of those options, I ended up paying the school to learn, and the other option, Facebook paid me to learn. So that made the decision a little bit easier.
Yeah. It's always nice when you can connect the two advantageous spots together. So how long did you actually end up working for Facebook during that time?
I was there just about 2 years.
And you were the lead of product development and product management, is that correct?
Yes, I was a product manager, and I led a team called Facebook Pages Growth and Engagement. So basically, we were focused on, how do we get more people to use Facebook Pages? The people who are using it, how do we get them to use it more often? And then the people who interact with the pages, how do we drive engagement so that we can, kind of show that there's value between the people who have Facebook Pages and the audience that are looking for people with those pages. And so, that kind of was a whole host of work, a bunch of different disciplines on the team, but it was a lot of fun.
And then you quickly transitioned into growth management for Snapchat, correct?
I did, yep.
How long did you work for Snapchat for?
I was there for a very short period of time.
That's fair. I can guess a few reasons maybe why that happened. Now, that then led you into Fulltilt Capital, which is you're currently a managing partner of at. Can you tell us a little bit what Fulltilt Capital is and how you guys operate?
Yeah, so Fulltilt Capital is a early stage venture fund focused on finding the best founders as early as possible and deploying capital into their companies.
Now, through some of the interviews that I was looking at, you guys have obviously said you were tech agnostic, but you've been venturing into the blockchain space, or I guess this disruptive field in general, because they're not all blockchain technologies, but applications of decentralized ledger systems and consensus systems. Have you guys been investing in any of these particular spaces as a VC group lately?
Yeah, so we're solely focused on the blockchain space. Everything from building mining facilities to backing companies in and around the space. And I think that we really look at it as this piece of technology is creating an inflection point in the world that is going to be very important. And so we want to be at the forefront of that.
We absolutely agree. Here at Arcane Bear, our family is focused on the decentralization of power and the positivity that you can do. So we see that many old business models, Facebook and the like, are likely on the chopping block in the next few years unless they pivot to what's coming next. What are some of the bigger companies that if you can tell us, what are some of the bigger companies that Fulltilt is invested in the blockchain space?
Yes, none of the investments are public right now,
Okay.
but I can tell you that the spaces that we're interested in are kind of all the infrastructure. So this is mining, master nodes, staking, all that kind of stuff. And then we're also very interested in tokenized securities. And so this idea that kind of company equity or ownership in real estate, kind of digitizing that on the blockchain, we think is really interesting as well.
So the securitizing of tokens, I've thought something is very interesting. I mean, I'm fairly layman when it comes to the legal terms of the Howey test, but it seems like something that's almost impossible to pass through all of its ambiguities, especially in some of the later clauses. Where do you see the next wave of tokens coming from? Is it in a security token base and equity in some of these companies as they start up?
Yeah, look, I think I'm probably less concerned about whether the utility tokens are securities or not. We just don't really invest in them, don't really pay that much attention to them. But we're heavily interested in the idea that I can take ownership in a company or ownership in real estate, and I can issue a digital security or digital token as that unit of ownership rather than doing a paper share certificate, right? And so once you kind of digitize ownership on a blockchain, we think that there's a whole host of advantages to that. Everything from you open up an asset to a global audience, all the way to just providing investors liquidity. And so we're really, really focused on how do we help different asset owners digitize that ownership and put it on the blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. You remove a lot of the middleman adjudication and the legal structure that goes behind it. I mean, smart contracts do have a downside. We can write dumb contracts, as we've seen in some of the previous problems through the parity wallets and the My Ether wallet changes that have taken place. What type of ease of use do you see for the average investor through things like the the tokenization of securities?
Yeah, I always tell folks that in a U.S.-based kind of financial system, everyone thinks that, oh, we already have a free market. It's called the stock exchange, right? What they don't understand is, or maybe they understand and just forget, is that a lot of assets are in the private market, so they're illiquid. Or if you're an international investor, you have a really hard time investing in the U.S. stock market, right? You've got to have a bank account, a brokerage account. You've got to have a certain number of assets under management or net worth, and so. By putting all this stuff on a blockchain in a kind of global world, what we end up doing is we're just democratizing access, right? We're democratizing access to a financial system. We're democratizing access to a asset base, and we're providing liquidity. And so what it does is it's offloading the kind of responsibility from financial institutions to the individual, and we're basically putting people in charge again. So I think that that's a really important kind of inflection point in the way that humans interact with money. So we're excited about it.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think that removing a lot of that structure that gets in the way, even for the opening of a corporation, the retainment of that company through the corporate costs for certificate and notarization of good standing every year, these repeated kind of time-consuming processes. Are there any countries that you've seen that are kind of taking the forefront and almost a leadership stake in the securitization of assets in companies?
Yeah, so you've got to kind of bifurcate the market, right? So there's just kind of crypto in general, and there's the security tokens. On crypto in general, there's obviously countries like Malta, I think Estonia, a whole host of countries that are saying, hey, look, come build this stuff here, right? Switzerland, Singapore, Japan, etc. And so I think that that's an important step for just kind of blockchain in general. When it comes to this tokenized securities, look, there's going to be no better place to do this than the United States, right? And the reason being, the United States is the best place for asset ownership. And so when that happens, everything that happens in tokenized securities is already available to us within the current rules and regulations of U.S. securities law. There needs to be no change. There needs to be no kind of reinterpretation. It's a fairly straightforward process. And so while I think a lot of people are talking about this stuff as if it's a big revolution, we kind of think of it as a boring evolution. And it's an evolution that simply is an improvement. And so the United States is going to be the focus on this tokenized security side, and hopefully that the regulators kind of understand that and continue to operate in a way that encourages this stuff to happen.
Have you seen any, whispers, or have you heard any whispers or seen any apparitions of these securities going on the blockchain in the United States? Because I know where I'm located on this side of the world, we do see some of it happening in communications. Singapore has come out very supportive, and actually, in fact, the government has been helping fund some of these blockchain startups. Same within Japan, obviously making Bitcoin a legal tender. Do you believe that because of United States regulations, they'll actually lead, or will they be left behind due to some of the paperwork that's involved to actually accomplish this?
Yeah, I think the United States on the tokenized security side is definitely going to lead. In crypto in general, I think we'll see. right? And I think that they're definitely encouraging innovation in the space, but they want people to follow the rules that currently exist. There's a conversation around should the rules evolve or change, which possibly. But on the tokenized security side, again, if you ask any investor in the world or most investors in the world, if you own an asset, where would you like it to be held? The United States is usually the answer, right? And so I think that the United States will continue to lead on the tokenized security side. We hope to be part of that conversation.
So, and what about the blockchain space as a whole? How we see companies like EOS and Ethereum, as well as I know that Dash is working on a very similar type of decentralized application over top of their blockchain. These guys are already first to market with the global outreach. Do you think that there is are they in combat to some degree or of these tokenized securities and the way they may take place?
No, I think that if anything, they're complementary, right? So if you think, for example, EOS and Ethereum, the tokenized securities are going to get built on top of those platforms, right? And so when you look at that, it's like, okay, so we need those protocols in order to have the smart contracts, et cetera. And so I think that they're complementary in that nature.
Yeah, I try to like to think of everything as an alliance in this growing space because it is somewhat similar to what the internet was like. I'm pretty much the same age as you, so I got to see the development of this from black and white calculators to these crazy cell phones that we have today. And it happens so quickly. I'm just, we're trying to play a future game of prediction together here to hypothesize or to create conjecture about what might happen next or how those things unfold. Are there any interests, I guess, like you said, you can't speak publicly about Fulltilt's particular investments, but on the application side of things, are you guys looking at a community and social aspects in the development or mostly on the protocols, things such as EOS and Ethereum?
Yeah, I think that we look at kind of everything holistic, right? So we want to see not only what is the technical advantages or kind of technical quality that different teams or ecosystems have, but then at the same time we want to see, is it a viable use case? Is it sustainable? Is it solving a real problem? And then is there a community behind it, right? Do people actually care about this? Is this something that people want to participate in? And so when we evaluate projects, I think that we kind of try to look at it holistically. We're not caught on a single aspect, and we kind of need to see it all, right? And if we see it all, we get excited. If not, then we kind of move on, and there's plenty of projects to look at.
Yeah, in one of the interviews I was listening to earlier today, you said that you were more than a white paper or a business plan even, you were focused on the individuals that drove that business. And I like your sentiments behind that. Can you tell us a little bit more about why that is?
Yeah, I think that when we look at projects holistically, we understand that everything that they're telling us could change, right? But the one thing that's not going to change is them. Right, and so if you kind of invest in the right people, then you got a shot. And so I always tell folks, if you look at Twitter came out of ODO, right, which was a completely different company. If you look at Lyft, it came out of Zimride, right, and kind of go down the line. There's a bunch of companies that didn't start out doing what they ended up doing. And so if that is the case, then betting on the right person is much more important than betting on the right idea.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Super Nintendo was one of those companies that pivoted very quickly from being a board game into being, I guess, a digital board game to some degree. And it's important that people that drive those vehicles, these business plans, if they're not ready to pivot to some of the new technical changes, it's very difficult. You might be investing in a dying idea instead of invigorated, passionate people that are willing to embrace whatever comes next. So I guess one of the last things I wanted to ask here, just so we can keep it short today, and we can maybe come back in a little bit in future's time and touch base again as things develop, is asking you questions about the work that you did with the military, and do you find any supportive things that came out of that? Because I know a lot of people, obviously myself, one of them growing up, we have very contradictory lines about how we feel about it, but was there focuses in the discipline and the nature of structure from doing those things with a group and community that you still use today in your business?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of things that came out of my military service, right? So one is definitely a kind of global perspective, right? So I was fortunate to spend time in some international areas that it just, allows you to see how other people live, right? And it allows you to understand who they are, the problems they face daily, and frankly, it probably drives a level of empathy because you understand that there's people who just have different perspectives, which is really, really important, especially in today's world. I think that's one. Two is leadership, right? So if you think of a lot of stuff that's going on with, building companies, investing in companies, it's all people. And so kind of that leadership aspect of being able to energize people, getting people to understand a vision, drive towards that vision, and execute, I think is important. And the third thing is accountability, right? So I think that a lot of times we live in a world where most people enjoy talking about the things that they're going to do, or they enjoy, saying that, hey, here's kind of my dreams. But they're not really held accountable to it, and so I think that military obviously does a great job of showing you that you're going to do what you need to do, and you're going to be held accountable for being the one to get it done. And I think that that definitely carries over to the business world as well.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to highlight that just because I know it's always important to take the positives out of some of the abstract situations that we go through in life. And the last thing I just remembered I wanted to touch on too is I vaguely remember reading that you guys had invested in 30 to 40 different companies already within your first year of operation as Full Tilt. Is that correct?
Yeah, we ended up investing in 65 companies in about 12, 14 months.
Nice. That's a very fast-paced movement, so it's well suited for the name Fulltilt
Full
Capital.
Tilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm glad to hear. I guess, is there any sentiments you want to leave the Bear family with? And like I said, what we'll do is we'll try to get you back on the show, or maybe we can cross paths through our world travels and actually do a sit-down, which I think would go very smoothly.
Absolutely. No, look, I think that this blockchain world is moving really quickly. I think it's super exciting. I kind of tell people, I used to have 2 rules. I've got 3 rules now. So the first rule is don't be stupid, right? The second one is don't be greedy. And the third one is let's just all get along, right? I think there's a lot of kind of toxic behavior that's happening, in the blockchain world. And everyone wants to kind of, shoot each other in the foot because they don't like somebody's project or they don't like somebody's vision, etc. And I think that your approach of the alliance is frankly noteworthy, right? I think that we should all just work together and get along. And if we do that, I think that we got a shot to make a pretty big impact in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We're investing in a type of a peaceful revolution because these are cross-border changes already that we've seen. We've already broken the boundaries many years ago. So now it's just getting accustomed to it, and I think building together on the planet, realizing that we're all of the same species and that our support here with each other is necessary.
You got it, man. I agree.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Anthony. Like I said, I know it's early in the morning today, so I wanted to keep it short with you. I will leave your links for your Twitter down below. I believe you have a YouTube channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if anyone wants to check out the venture fund, it's fulltilt.capital as well. So those links will be down below if I did happen to say any of these wrong. Remember to give us those thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. It helps other people later on down the stream find the information they're looking for. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the Bear family, and go over to Anthony's Telegram channel and check out the stuff he does there. A lot of positive sentiments and supportive behavior in this blockchain space as we grow. So thank you.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys out there.